Okay, good morning. It's Thursday. Happy Thursday. Let's have some coffee. The engine's running. On me dry, ready for the off. I actually don't feel too bad. Did get quite a bit of sleep last night. Excuse me. I did get quite a bit of sleep, so not feeling too bad at all actually. I was a little bit worried when I don't feel crap in the morning. I'm sure everybody's the same. Right, so off we go. Yeah, there's some builders. I think it's builders. It says White Knight on the side of the vehicle. Doing some work for the council. Redoing the dishing, I think it's called. The little bit at the side of the, well, I call it the pavement over here. I think Americans call it the sidewalk. And it was particularly early today. It was actually before 7 when the machine that goes beep, beep, beep started moving. It was quite annoying. And I did wonder why it was going beep, 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 because it was pretty slow, a vehicle. You'd have to be hard pressed to, I don't know, not know it was there. Unless, well, I suppose if he was blind, that's a good point actually. If he was blind and you didn't know it was there, that sort of makes sense for it to bleep. For everybody else though, it's just annoying. Really, really, really annoying. It's a sunny day. Well, it is summertime, isn't it? We've just hit August. It's the 1st of August today. Yeah, August. It's an interesting month in work because just everybody seems to be on vacation, on holiday. Everybody. A lot of managers now. I suppose maybe it's a part of being a senior person in a company. You can pretty much take your holidays whenever you want, and yeah, that's lovely. I applaud that. And interesting to see managers and their managers on holiday as well. Yeah, and I think what the nice thing is about managers not being there, well, things still get done, don't they? The work still gets done. The plane keeps on flying. Just make you wonder why managers are paid so much money, really. Responsibility. Yeah, I could say that, I suppose. I'm not going to though. So yeah, White Knight, never heard of them before. Some sort of contractor doing work for the council. You have a machine that goes bleep, a little digger that goes about 2 miles an hour. And yeah, the guys are raring to go at 6 a.m. They're sitting there waiting. They obviously must be told they can't start before 7. But literally, at 7 they're off. And I guess the only reason I can see this could be anyway beneficial to them is they must let them go home earlier if they start earlier. So that makes sense, doesn't it? But yeah, what a racket. It was horrible, So yeah. So a little bit later than usual. I'm starting to realise, I think I've said that quite a few times now, and I'm starting to wonder if the new usual is a little bit later. And when does it become the usual, I suppose? I don't think you've heard me say, a bit earlier than usual. I might have said a bit quicker, traffic lighter than usual. But I don't think I've ever said, geez, yeah, a lot earlier than usual getting out of the house. And I think that speaks volumes, doesn't it? Just joining onto the M50. Southbound. It's southbound, but I'm going to go west now. It's obviously it's an orbital motorway around Dublin. I do discuss at length in other episodes. It's a gloriously sunny day. Glad I got the old aircon on now. There's no fun in being hot and sticky in a car. Certainly not on the commute, anyway. I think it's always good to keep calm on the commutes, especially with driving. It's also, it's good not to get too stressed. I think stress is good, I think, to a certain extent. I think there's always going to be some level of stress. We seem to, as humans, we need a bit of stress in our lives. We need something to worry about. People, I think the commonest thing people worry about is money, but Anyway, I think, with all these stresses, and you have to, I think you have to learn how to deal with it. And I think a lot of the methods revolve around maybe taking you out of the stressful situation for a while. That could be work-life balance, of course, couldn't it, if you find your job stressful? And I think it isn't always obvious to people about stress and the stress in the workplace. There's some jobs that seem to be inherently stressful. I suppose if you're a guard, if you're a nurse, a doctor, where there's real tense situations. I think in some ways they might learn to cope with it better because it's constant. It's there. They just have to deal with it. And then if you're like me, you work in an office, and it's not always obvious that there's stress there. And the stress around that I can see at the moment here would be getting there, been there. Expectations might not be very clear. Your manager or managers or the company, they might expect something of you and it's not clear, and then it's highlighted, and things like that. That can be stress, I think. I think when you're a new starter, you obviously want to do well, but usually if the company's got anything about them, they give you a bit of leeway because you're new and you don't know about certain things and certain processes. This particular company is not a great example of how to do things. I'm very lucky. I've had a broad spectrum of companies that I've worked for over the years, just having more coffee. And I think the key for me is no company's perfect. And at some point they're going to want you to do something you don't really want to do, whether it's tedious, boring. Maybe you don't know how to do it. Maybe you don't want to know how to do it. That's the other thing, of course. But usually there's a reason, why you'd be stressed. And for me, the best companies, the best way to treat people, I think, is to remove all the stress that you can remove. For example, you expect to be in at, I don't know what time. Some companies it's 9:30, some it's 9, some it's 8:30, get in early, go home early. But this stress of just getting there and appearing at a certain time, is that really necessary? Of course we want you there. We want you there when the company's working, and we can all, work as a team. And it's only fair on other people, I suppose. But I think these are the simple little things that a company can do. Be a bit of flexibility that will take some stress away, some of the stress that they can take away from the role, and that's definitely one of them. A bit of flexibility, and also working from home. It gets a bit of a bad press, I think. I've worked for companies where it's deemed like you're having a day off or something. Other companies embrace it. Other companies definitely not. And I think from experience, it's a happy medium. Whereby you should have that flexibility. I mean, if something's going on in your life, you need to be at home. That's essential, I think, for any business. You should allow that flexibility. If someone's off sick, they can't come into work, and it's nothing too serious, but you know what? You don't want to be giving it to everybody. Maybe let them work from home. Let's not cost them, the company, money in sick days. Let's keep them working if they can, obviously, if they're well enough to. I mean, your legs are a bit shaky, you're feeling like whatever. You work from home if you can. Do some work for us. That's brilliant. That way it's not a wasted day. You have to be at home. Something's happened out of the ordinary, I don't know, you're waiting for a parcel. Sometimes you have to have it delivered at home. Maybe it's a bed or something of that nature. White goods, maybe a dishwasher or a tumble dryer or something. You have to be there. And you know what? We're not robots. What does the company want us to do? If the company wants to employ robots, well, employ robots. But so some flexibility where the company can give the flexibility without harming the productivity. And I've seen companies where they enforce this certain time in, time out, even though you're not clocking in and clocking out. I've never had to clock in or clock out with any of the roles I've had over the last 30 years. Never been paid by the hour, never been paid by the day or the week. Been paid by the year. So that's how I'm paid, and it's divided up into 12 payments. So I'm happy to give it a year's work, More coffee. It's going to be one of those days. So I think a company should give flexibility where it makes sense. And, someone having a sick day because they're tired, they're fed up, they're stressed, and the company losing that day of productivity, I think is counterproductive. Happy workers work harder. Happy workers will go that extra mile. A bit of flexibility with times and things with workers. You know what? They'll actually stay later when there's a problem. They really will. And I've seen that. And I've done it. I've been there. I've been in the company there where they enforce, times and you don't want to go in. I've had that feeling on a Sunday night. I didn't want to go to work, almost hoping I'd get a flu or something. Everybody's going to be there at some point in their career. And sometimes the job's not right for them. That's a different topic, I suppose. But for another episode. But I think, there's certain flexibilities can be given to an employee. The employer should be able to give them because it does reciprocate. I think, to suggest we're all a load of slackers who are just looking for any opportunity not to do any work is absolute rubbish. There might be a very small minority of I don't want to say college graduates because I don't think that's true either. But maybe there are people like that. But you know what? They get found out very quickly, these people. The HR policies are usually fairly rigorous in that instance. But for the rest of us, flexibility is good. Going to work shouldn't be a stress in itself. Your job can be stressful enough and innocuous enough in a sense. Stuff that I do, when it all works and everything's going, when it's fairly quiet, not too many tickets coming in and not too many jobs need doing, that's less stressful, isn't it, But to be worried about what time of day it is, or to be stressed coming in, or to be, oh man, that's not nice in the long term. I do think it's counterproductive to put that sort of pressure on the employees. Be here at this time. Go home. Don't go home. And if you do this, we're human. Sometimes need to be at home. Sometimes need to be late. Sometimes we can be early as well, of course. And if the job isn't for you, well, I always say to everybody, move on, get a different job. I encourage you to. You own your career. Don't put up with stuff if it's really. And then same with the flexibility. If you're not getting that out of a company, well, you can do something about that. I've spoken to people in the past. They've heard of this unlimited PTO. For some people, it's a fable. Is it a myth? Does it exist? And it's a clever construct. And there's a lot of reasons why American companies would want to do it, the way they account for numbers of days holiday a year and things like that. But if you want that sort of benefit, well, you can get it. Just leave, go and join a company that has it. Certainly the sphere of technology that I'm in, and the people I work with, I have no problem whatsoever getting another role. I think there's always this fear of the unknown, fear of change. And that really drags you down, that does. Fear, lack of confidence in yourself as well. Can you get through the interview and can you sell yourself? Can you even talk about yourself in a way that you can get across to people? And then, a lot of the interviews I've spoken about in other episodes with some of the tech companies. They get me in for an interview because they like my CV. They want that guy in the CV, and the irony for me is I am that guy. I am the guy in the CV, but they don't give me the job. And this comes down to how they interview and how they interview people, and it doesn't work with me. They can't tell with me. I don't think whether I'm the guy that they want or the guy on the CV, but I am, and I'm very lucky to have spent some time talking to somebody who was part of the recruiting for Facebook during the heady years of expansion. And they themselves admit that they get it wrong a lot, and that's just how it is. I think what's unfortunate for me is, for them anyway, is they're missing out on some really good talent, and I do wonder why their interviewing techniques and processes haven't evolved beyond banal technical tests. To me, that if you construct your recruitment process around some of the things that they do, then you're going to get a certain kind of person working for them, and they have. And I think it lacks a little bit of I don't know what the word is, almost soul I think some of these big tech giants, they lack soul, and that the people who work for them, you know what, they're there a year or two and they move on. I think that's the statistic. 2 years is all you're going to get out of them, and maybe that's what they want. They want churn as well, don't they? They don't really mind attrition because there's people clamouring to work for them. Get them on the CV, I suppose. But no, I'm not clamouring to work for them, and I'm quite happy to work for anybody. The work, I think, has to be interesting. A lot of the work I do, I see I've done before, so it's easy for me in a sense. There's very few challenges, and I do like to be challenged. Maybe take on new technologies, but that's not a challenge either, because new technologies, well, things are getting easier, not harder. When you look at the languages that are used to code things, you know, they're making life easier, not more difficult. You don't have to be super intelligent anymore, you know, and having an interest is half the battle now, I think. So I'm very lucky that I've been around so long, and not only have that, you know, been exposed to so many new technologies over the years. It's just, you know, par for the course, as it were, and it's easy for me. So I'm having a bit of a golden era, I think, now of work in that sense. And I know a lot of people listening might, you know, only have a few years experience or very little experience. And then for that, you have to push the things that you do have, you know, and not worry about the things you don't have. I mean, experience just comes if you're dedicated, you're interested, you're engaged, you know, and you don't do anything stupid. You can do the odd thing stupid, I suppose, but you know, you can end up with years of experience that any company would really benefit from.